This is Kanzenshuu, the podcast, episode 464 for the week of January 6th, 2019. What's up? Welcome to a brand new year here at Kanzenshuu,
the podcast.
Yes, an extension of the all-encompassing Dragon Ball fan site.
Kanzenshuu.
We cover anything and everything Dragon Ball in hopes of enlightening and a little bit of entertaining. My name is Mike Vegito EX. I am joined by two lovely folks. First up, I guess you could say quasi-regular again. It's nice to have you, Julian.
Os! Ora, Julian. Minna, kotoshi mo yoroshiku na?
Man, your voice totally changed there.
So?
I'm actually really impressed with the tone of your acting voice there in Japanese.
Thank you. I just did it off the cuff.
I don't know who I'd cast you as, but that was pretty damn good.
New career prospect right there.
Exactly.
There you go.
Oh, hey, there's that other voice. Sir, who are you?
I'm alive. That's who I am.
Heath, hi.
Hi. I'm glad to be here. Thanks for finally including me again.
Anyway, so we join here together at the top of the year, as we normally do, to do our annual predictions, check-ins, and new makings of predictions. We also talk about the top stories of the year on Kanzenshuu. That is the Dragon Ball website that we are from, and that is talking to you in your ears right now. I don't know what else to say. I kind of wanted to just get right on into it. We got a lot of stuff to cover, cool things to talk about, lots of stuff that we got wrong, as we typically do. So, without any further ado, let's get into the first part of our topic here, which is the top stories of the year on Kanzenshuu. Heath, I think it was you and I that did a mid-year predictions check-in episode.
Yes.
Somewhere around July-ish. At that time, we had we shared the top 3 stories of the year. Those top 3 actually maintained their traffic and their spot as the top 3 throughout the entirety of the year. So if you heard them then, you know what they are. So let's work backwards a little bit here from number 5 to number 1. So the number 5 story of the year on Kanzenshuu, and this is primarily by traffic, but taking into consideration all the other stuff, the tweets and all that jazz. Kind of a bummer.
It was one of the sadder stories of the year.
Yeah. Tetsuo Goto, who played Gowasu in Dragon Ball Super, the Kaioshin from Universe 10, passed away this year. That was our number 5 story of the year. I'm kind of not surprised in terms of his performance really seemed to resonate with a lot of people. I think a lot of performances in that arc specifically, between Gowasu, Zamasu, and Nozawa's Goku Black, a lot of people coming in. This was...
Yeah.
So the Universe 6 arc, the 6 versus 7 tournament, we got a lot of new characters. And so that was kind of for a lot of people who kind of left behind the dub and what they had known before from the movies. Like, this is first all new material, first chance to get into these new characters. But I think the Trunks arc kind of took that even further, because that's when the simulcast started. So it was much, much easier for people to get a hold of and check out the episodes as they were airing. And I think Goto's performance just left an impression on a lot of people. What do you guys think?
I would be inclined to agree with that. I mean, he was basically a newcomer to the series in any significant role.
Yeah.
And he wasn't with us for very long, but he was one of the focus characters of that arc, so he got a lot of screen time.
And it was a very popular arc.
Yeah.
As well.
So I'm kind of not surprised in that respect. I mean, obviously, the passing of a voice actor will get...
Yeah. Anytime somebody passes away, that usually... Because fortunately, knock on wood, it doesn't happen very often.
No. There have been a few, though. We lost some big ones over the last couple of years here. But that was that. I don't want to dwell on it too much because, again, it's not like, oh, this is our number 5 story. Blah. Not really that kind of approach here. So let's just go straight to the number 4. This is kind of a weird one on the list, but I had some thoughts on this one as well. And that was Dragon Ball Super Manga Volume 5's various cover arts. So Super Volume 5 got some bonus cover art at particular stores in Japan. If you pre-ordered or if you just went and picked it up there was an alternate cover art. And you wouldn't think, well, why would this be one of the biggest stories of the year? What do you guys think? Why would something like this be so important?
I think it's a combination of the story part that it covers, and just people seem to gravitate towards the bonus artwork and that sort of thing.
Yeah.
And for all of Toyotaro's faults, he does pretty good covers. So I think people tend to enjoy that.
I don't really have anything to add to that.
It's kind of
because it is kind of just like out there. It's almost an outlier.
Yeah,
I would say.
I think this ties into what we'll talk about with the number 2 and number 1, where just around this point, anything that was about Dragon Ball Super in any capacity was going to get more traffic than it probably otherwise would have. But this is also at a key point in the Super comicalization, where during this Future Trunks arc, where it's not only just going longer and longer and longer, but it's also diverging heavily from the animated television series. So anything that was new and different about it was, we get to see what's going on over here as well. I mean, Kanzenshuu is just strange like that sometimes, where the stories that just seem like an innocuous, bonus cover artwork. That's the number 4 story of the year. Who knows?
Yeah.
All right, number 3. This one makes sense. The 2018 film's key staff, and in addition to that, Akira Toriyama had a comment about it. This is the kind of thing that you expect to see on the top 5 news stories of the year. The key staff, I mean, the major shakeup here was obviously going to get some traffic. We had Naohiro Shintani taking on animation supervision duties, previously held by Tadayoshi Yamamuro, no longer working on it in that capacity on this particular product. Obviously, Yamamuro is still over there on Heroes. But in addition to that, it was not just that there's going to be a movie, but we got the key staff and Toriyama comment. Now, Julian, you retranslated Toriyama's comment, even though it was already in English on the site. I think that's another reason why our particular story here got a good amount of traffic.
Yeah, I found that the version of the comment that they had on the official site was lacking in some key details, so I translated myself.
Because somebody has to.
I don't know how much other analysis we can put in. I mean, it's like, this is going to be an obvious choice.
Well, it's kind of like what you said. Anything that's going to be super related is pretty much just going to draw.
Yeah.
So
anytime there's a movie, and when you get that first big burst of, and the Toriyama comment and the staff, that's going to set the tone for everything moving forward. And that's going to be the top story of the year on our site for that movie. That makes sense. All right. So then the number 2 story, which you might think would have been the number 1 story, but it wasn't, that the Dragon Ball Super time slot was shifting to a new Gegege no Kitaro animated series, taking over that time slot, actually reclaiming its time slot. We have a Kitaro fan here.
Oh, sorry.
So, Dragon Ball Super was going to be ending, except they weren't going on record as saying anything about it. They were happy to acknowledge that Kitaro was taking its time slot, but no one wanted to say anything that Super was over. It was kind of fun.
Yeah, it's non-denial denial. Somebody be on the record here, please.
So this was after we started noticing that the Super Box 11 episode count went down from 133 to 131, which when you looked at the upcoming broadcast schedule on Fuji TV, it was like, all right. And then that'll take us to April. Okay. Oh, and something's taking that time. Oh, all right. See what we're doing here. But right after this news broke, and then we even got a trailer for the new series, they started quasi coming out with acknowledgments that Super was going to end, but it was also very non-committal in simultaneously acknowledging that it was ending. It was very, very bizarre. I remember we were grabbing pieces from there's a newspaper article over here, and I think Rocket News had some of that non-committing denials over here. It was strange. Very, very strange track, kind of in real time as this came out. That was January when we got that, and that stayed as the number 2 story of the year. So let's go to the number 1 story of 2018 on Kanzenshuu. The Dragon Ball Super Original Soundtrack Volume 2 was announced as the number 1 story of the year on the website.
That's an interesting choice.
But that's the thing.
I feel like this one was rigged.
It's not a choice. The numbers don't lie. We're not deciding here. You can't argue against math and facts. This was, by and large, the most trafficked story of the year on the website. So I have some thoughts on that. One is music is a big part of Kanzenshu's history. I was big into cataloging the music even before I brought you online, Julian, back in my old Vegito EX's database's homepage days. Obviously, the music database was a huge part when we did a relaunch of Kanzenshuu EX in 2003. It continues to be updated and maintained, and the largest, best database of Dragon Ball music in the world. I think, maybe. So obviously we draw fans of Dragon Ball music to the site. They know where to go to get that information. That being said, I think, so this is February 10th when we posted this. The previous story was January 18th. So we're not quite a month out from that. This is at that point where I feel like any story about Dragon Ball Super, whether it be alternate manga cover art or a soundtrack being announced, was going to get probably like undue traffic because people were looking for anything for additional confirmation. And I feel like a comprehensive soundtrack covering what seemed to be the rest of the series was just another tiny little puzzle piece of, oh, they really are wrapping this all up here with a bow, aren't they?
Go, 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 super soundtrack, legendary, go.
No, not quite there yet.
Okay, yeah, that's the movie soundtrack. Still,
I don't know. What do you guys think? I mean, it makes sense with my own backward logic, but
well, it's just music is something that I think really bridges across everything, especially now that we have a TV series where we've had the same composer, then he's carried over into movies, vice versa.
We actually have some consistency right now.
Yeah. And
like fans on both sides of the
right. And where
the Pacific
you
have the same
have a large
soundtrack.
subset of fans that are, specifically music fans. Music also carries over into people who are just general casual fans of either the series, video games.
Yeah.
That always seems to play really well. So I can kind of see your backwards logic. I kind of went down the rabbit hole with you a little bit, but I'll leave that to you.
Okay. I feel like Sumitomo just hit it with people, and I'm the only person on the sidelines going, really? Really? But
there are tracks that speak to me and ones that don't.
Whatever. Everyone's entitled.
I want more
opinion.
disco tracks. That's
yeah. Let's all disco from here on out. Dragon Ball Disco Hour. Yes, let's
Dragon
do it.
Ball on 45.
That's right. Do people know what a 45 is? So those are the top 5 stories of the year on Kanzenshuu, according to you all visiting the website, driving what that is. Just among us, what do we think some of the other important stories of the year were? Let me get you started here with this Blu-ray remastering of the movies and the strange rollout that had with a totally unceremonious dumping on streaming services initially on Amazon Japan and Netflix, remastered there and without the kind of like proper audio track. And then we started getting the Blu-ray release, and it was amazing getting in DVC Movie 1 and having it look great and sound great. It's the same source as the Dragon Box audio, so we were kind of worried,
Nice,
is the Blu-ray going to have that? It looks great. And then we started noticing some things going on. Our buddy Kay, he knows the very specific frames to look for. So I remember the first thing was a frame in the very, very edge of the frame. In the original, Piccolo's arm isn't fully colored in. And in the new Blu-ray release, it was colored in. And I totally get where he's coming from. Where it's like, well, this is no longer an archival piece. This is now an edited, updated version. And if you want to get into the discussion about how far does it take to get towards something like the updated Star Wars versions, like is coloring in the rest of an arm there, this is going to differ from person to person. But then things kept going. It was like, well, they didn't end up fixing a lot of the color issues we saw on the streaming versions, and some of it got even worse than it previously was. And then we got to the censoring of the middle fingers in the most recent batches of Blu-rays that came out. Well, I guess the previous, because now we're into January, now they're out. But so these are definitely no longer archival pieces of these movies. So then the question is, do we want more from Toei at this point? Because dude, if this is what you're doing, no, I don't want what you're offering.
I mean, I made it a policy very early on in my fandom to only collect the uncensored release for very specific reasons. And now the official Japanese distributor is doing that. The people who actually made it to begin with, I'm not really cool with that.
Yeah.
I've never been a fan of alterations, but that's just me being more of a purist, I guess you could say, in a sense. I always lean toward, the way it aired on TV is the way I want to have it because that's how it was at the time.
Well, to give you kind of a counterexample there, remember during the Scion Arc of Kai when we had that episode preview where someone forgot to turn on an After Effects layer with Tenshin Han's Kiko?
Well, that was hilarious.
That was a mistake.
Yeah, it was in the next episode preview, but then in the episode itself, they had corrected.
Sure, but But I think if what you're saying is, well, as it aired on TV, well, Heath, that was as it aired on TV.
It's common practice though in Japan to tidy things up for the home release, for example.
Sure. Well,
yes.
Isn't that what they're doing here?
And we saw that with Super.
They're tidying things up for the home release here by coloring in his arm and removing those fingers.
The actual releases that came out in the 80s and 90s.
After the fact.
I mean,
I'm totally just BSing you because I totally agree with you. This is not the right way to do things.
There have been perfectly uncensored home releases already.
From them 10 years ago, 13 years ago.
Well,
and that's the whole...
Yeah.
I guess that's where I go, okay, why are we doing this now if it already exists? Now, if this was the very first time they've ever released them on home video, and they're like, yeah, we really want to clean it up due to some differences in censorship these days, then okay, fine. I guess I can live with that.
If this was version
I'm not going to love it, but
1.11 or whatever.
Yeah.
Like if they were deliberately...
But it's not.
Yeah, if they were deliberately marketing it as an somehow upgraded or corrected version, then fine. But there's a specific thing on the back of the packaging that says nothing has been altered.
And doesn't it also say something like, these materials are presented... It's like when you load up old Looney Tunes. They're like, oh, look, we understand that cultural sensitivities are different here. So these are presented as is for the purposes of, historical context. I think it says something like that on the back of the Blu-rays. Don't quote me on that, but not cool.
Yeah.
I just feel like anyone that's been around the franchise at all should know if you're going to change something, there are people out there that are going to do this.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not like, oh, we'll just slip this by and nobody will find out. And especially now with social media, it really elevates that to a new degree.
Absolutely.
The most hilarious part of this was the back of one of the boxes. They horizontally flipped one of the pieces of artwork and they apologized for it and allowed people to send in for a replacement. You're doing that, but you're censoring the middle fingers. This is so quintessential Japan that it hurts me. So that was my thought on kind of an additional story of the year. Did you guys have anything else that you thought was kind of major this year that wasn't on our top 5 list there?
Maybe just even some more movie related items.
Yeah.
Because that always seems to be from you, especially like when Battle of Gods came out. It was just like, well, here's every Battle of Gods story. Here's our top 5.
Yeah.
I mean... I'm sure with having a series and have previously had 2 movies, that kind of ticks down a little because it's more everyone was kind of expecting there would be a movie announcement.
Right. And what there was just a couple big ones. It was like the main staff, obviously, that was on our list. The fact that it was Broly was another one. And that was up there somewhere, in the top 10.
That is one thing I noticed with the promotion of the Broly movie. Was that it was not as ramped up as some of the previous ones. Mostly, there were advertisements and promos and tie-ins, but this one was much more very compact. Like, we're going to hit you with this one big thing, and then we're going to hold off for 3 or 4 months with nothing. Yeah. And then here's this.
I noticed that apart from the official website, like most of the official interviews hit like right the week the movie came out.
Yeah, they're all at the same time. Yeah.
And then and then nothing before or after that.
Yeah, Battle of Gods was just a huge buildup for this. Was very, I'm guessing this was strategically done this way, but I'm sure it helps them on their end that the series itself is already in the mainstream. It's on everybody's mind. Mm-hmm. People are thinking about it. Mm-hmm. Whereas when they were doing Battle of Gods, well, we really got to ramp this up to make sure everybody's aware of the series again.
Yeah, and I think a big part of it, too, is that this time, I think especially because Super is ongoing in other territories, there's a lot more coordination with the overseas right holders. So
that's true.
When something big is announced, it's plastered everywhere. And we talked about this on our spoilers episode as well. Not necessarily when people want to see it. But especially for Battle of Gods, people still had to seek stuff out. It was often announced only in a Japanese source. And often, like, information was sort of sprinkled between multiple different media outlets. And we were the ones who had to piece things together and, present it as this information. And so as a consequence, people looked to us specifically. They had to actively seek it out. Whereas now it's kind of everywhere and people are passively absorbing it. So they're not hungering like for that kind of constant news updates the way they were.
Yeah, I mean, like we said on that episode, Funimation was tweeting the same thing within a day, if not the same hour, as Toei was.
Well, and it's just been kind of weird getting already translated, statements and comments out with everything. It's like, this never would have happened even 5 years ago.
Exactly, I know.
And then it's just become a thing.
It's been very different. It's fun at the same time.
It has been nice to actually see Toei embrace the international market way more than they ever had before.
Yeah, forced into it.
Which is something that we harked on when Super started. Was like, why are they not embracing it? And it just seems like it took them forever to realize, oh, if we do this, it's a good thing.
Yeah, we've been taking them to task for that, for always talking the big game and saying how they know that Dragon Ball is so popular abroad, and then turning around and still doing all the same nonsense they always did. But it really feels like for the Broly movie, and we'll get into some predictions with this coming up as well, where they're ready to go. They are absolutely ready to go. All right, that was definitely a good one. Julian, do you have any just last thoughts on any major stories, or even not major, but something you thought was important this year?
Apart from the things we already mentioned, I think all of them involve me personally.
Yeah, it was a big year for Kanzenshuu people, I guess.
Yes, and mostly in the vicinity of New York City, so.
Right. Sure. I mean, so just as a brief recap, what are the cool things you got to do this year?
Let's see. I got to meet Masako Nozawa. We chatted up the dub cast for the movie, and we got to interview Toru Furuya, the voice of Yamcha.
You skipped over something that, like, you were a segment on Mezamashi TV.
Oh, yeah, that too. I was on Japanese TV, and so was Tanuki Kuribo on our forums.
Yeah.
You're internet famous.
I know, right? It's my second time on Japanese national TV, even, because before I was on there.
Wait, it was my debut too. I run in out of nowhere and I'm taking pictures.
Yeah, you're in the background.
Yeah, I love seeing Mike in the background. I vicariously lived through both of you, but mostly Julian.
That's good.
Thank you.
Nice. All right. Before we transition into prediction stuff, I do want to mention just some popular content on the site. It's actually the same as it's always been, where the animation styles guide is the most popular content section on the site for this last year. That makes sense. We have people like AJ who have taken, Heath, everything that you've worked on in the past and built upon it, and they're really... He's just getting everyone's names and styles out there in a way that's great for someone who's passionate about that and knowledgeable about that. And I'm glad we have a base there that perhaps we can keep working on and turn into something in the future.
I think that base will be shifting here at some point. Maybe by 2020? I don't know.
Well, again, we're working on Kanzenshuu timeframes. So, I mean, this is measured in years, not in weeks or anything like that.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And then, of course, the translation section is right behind it as well. In some ways, I'm shocked it's not the most popular, but popularity is kind of like splitting hairs at this point between these two sections. It's kind of our bread and butter in many ways. The archive continues to grow. I actually wish I had tracked down how many new things we added to that section over the last year. May not have been as many as previous years, but some of the additions in there were quite notable, quite important. And it just keeps growing. I mean, Julian...
And there's much more
the
to come.
Stuff that every time you came down, you're dropping off more things for me here.
We still have stuff, from Battle of Gods that we need to finish up?
Oh, yeah. Never mind, like, the 80s, but there's still Battle of Gods and Resurrection F stuff.
Yes. Oh, but the stuff that dropped off for Mike was, like, one-shots, including a bunch of issues of Fresh Jump with Toriyama stuff in them. Dragon Boy and Pink.
Oh, yeah. Julian, I would actually put that up there with alongside your meeting Nozawa and that kind of stuff. Just getting the original issues with Dragon Boy and Tongpu and even Pink in there. Just having this physical historical reference. So good.
Yeah, it is pretty good. I think at this point we've got slightly under half of all the issues for the crappy manga laboratory as well.
We need to figure out where we're going to have like the Kanzenshuu Memorial Library.
This is part of, and maybe we'll get to talking about this very hopefully in the near future here at Kanzenshuu, but there have to be and quasi hopefully will be long-term historical planning going on for this kind of stuff, because every time Mary comes in this room, she's like, this room scares me. Not just with the amount of Psycho jumps that could fall at any moment and kill a small human, but just the amount of history and by small human, I mean Mary herself, they will fall and they will kill her. The amount of history in this room alone, and that doesn't include everything that you have, Heath. So between us two, but then also what Julian and Jake have as well. I mean, we have a lot of Dragon Ball history that we want to preserve, not just with our editorializing online, but also in some kind of physical way. And I'm looking to some specific things that I see
I thought that's why we had children.
Right? That's true. I mean, I do technically own a lot of the issues that you guys have, although I would be fine with donating them to posterity as long as it's a three-way agreement.
Look, if it's in this house, it's no longer yours. So,
hey.
That's not true. It's all of ours.
I do not agree to that.
Everything that we have is ours.
It's a storage fee.
Exactly. I need to charge rent here. All right. So that's enough commentary on what was popular on the site this year. Some expected, some unexpected. Let us then go to, we're going to do our predictions, check in, and then we'll make new predictions, and then we'll check in with some of the reader/listener predictions. Twitter is blowing up this afternoon, so we'll make sure we get to as many of those as we can. Let us transition now to the predictions part of our episode. So the way we usually do this is someone takes someone else's list of predictions and has fun tearing them apart. So we have actually kind of all of us, because last year, I think, Julian, you and Jake did the predictions episode with me, but then we also got some stuff from Heath, it was from the check-in episode. So I have some of your mid-year stuff. So we'll kind of knock these all around a little bit. Julian, right. I'm going to start with yours real quick because you didn't have a whole lot. And then I guess we'll just keep tossing it around. All right. So, Julian, you said there's going to be a major arc in Dragon Ball Super that leads into the new movie.
Yeah, that kind of didn't happen.
In fact, there's nothing.
I was working off of my knowledge of the One Piece anime, which usually has a short mini arc in the TV series that has nothing to do with the surrounding series to build up to a theatrical movie.
Yeah.
The movie is kind of self-contained.
All right, well then, you said you will find something to complain about with the nearly complete works of Akira Toriyama. You and Jake wondered if it would literally just be a list of his works with no real context and content. And it's been sort of that. So we talked about this in our mid-year check-in episode, but
I feel like it's very hit or miss.
It is. So every weekday, the Dragon Ball official site puts up something that is only available for a single day. And it's, here's a thing Toriyama did, and here's the information on the date. And I would say about 10% of the time, Julian corrects them on what the information is and when it was published. It's fine. It's fine. It was fine.
Well, it feels like for every genuinely interesting, rare thing they put up, there's like 10 or 20 things that are, here's a picture everyone's seen before.
Right.
That's great.
I mean, I even liked when they were doing some of the spine art. Okay, that's something that doesn't get a whole lot of highlight out there. Yeah, show that off. That's cool. But then it would just be, here's an image from an issue.
I love the stuff that they highlight from his fan club issues.
Yes, like absolutely.
Old material that very few people have, including us, because like every time I've tried to actually bid on an issue of his fan club newsletter, it gets ludicrously high and I lose.
There's just a limited number of them available. Yeah.
And like Peking Duck only owns 2 or 3, and he's a major collect everything.
So that tells you something about this.
Yeah. So I love it when they do that. It genuinely highlights rare material that few people have seen before. Like there was a sort of a promo image for a series that he pitched to Torishima right before he actually got into Dr. Slump that didn't go anywhere. And that was really cool. It's something I had never seen. And other times it's like, yep, this is a picture of cast of Dragon Ball.
Right. And sometimes it would be like, oh, actually, yeah, this is something we haven't seen before. Oh, no, this is just from the 30th anniversary book. They just took it from the bottom of the page there. So even some of that stuff was published recently. Yeah, we were hoping for more unpublished or kind of like better documentation. Julian, there've just been a lot of dates that are wrong.
Yeah, it's like Do they like double check their information before they put stuff out, or do they just think nobody will notice? And I guess probably nobody will notice except for me.
I mean, it's probably a combination of that, and also like, it's only up for a day. Who cares?
Maybe, but I wish they would put more effort into it. I don't take the only up for one day as an excuse for low effort.
Yeah.
You know, if you're gonna do something like this, make it genuinely interesting.
Yeah.
And maybe I'm setting high standards because I'm not a casual fan and I've seen most of this stuff already, but damn it.
But damn it.
I want something that's aimed at me.
I just hate when they do put something up new that nobody's ever seen before, and they're like, here's our 5 quality JPEG image.
I know.
That's just like, it's like, come on, if nobody's seen this before, at least put up the most uncompressed version you can, so there is some sort of archived nice document. But no, they can't do that.
And it did get better as the year went on, and then they started doing like, if you look at the image files, they're all like this widescreen aspect ratio, because I think no one there knows how to format HTML files. So they're like,
yeah, I love that all the white space they like put on there. They're like,
Exactly.
we're just gonna do this, so everyone's the same aspect ratio.
it's super funny.
God damn
But yeah, so that was the thing. It continues. They took a little bit of a break, and we I wouldn't say we gave up on keeping up with it on the website. I continued to archive everything as it was coming out, so maybe we'll do something with it again in the future. If and when there's really important Dragon Ball material, maybe we'll talk about it and we'll mention it there, but there just hasn't been anything like that was that significant. All right, we got to move on with your predictions, Julian. You said there'll be a new game announcement by the end of the year. This is like the literally most obvious thing that anyone can say. Yes, we got World Mission announced. We'll talk about that. You said Super will end. You kind of went back around again. Super will end and everything will be undone by the King of All, and it will just go into the regular ending. I think I was asking you for crazy predictions at this point, and no, that didn't happen.
No, I mean,
Isn't that like half and half though? Super will end.
yeah,
I guess.
Well,
Check.
and he did undo the deaths of the other universes.
Yeah, I guess.
So that I mean, but obviously I was going for it's just going to segue into the end of Dragon Ball Z.
I think,
that didn't happen.
I think what you're saying is that Zeno was going to undo like all of Super, and it would just go back to where it originally was. All right, and then finally you said more Toriyama short works, one shots collection, or even individual pieces. No.
Nope.
That was it for you. So someone take Jake's predictions from last year here.
So Jake says no new major arc in the Super TV series, and instead the movie will be the big new thing. The TV will either do all filler or a hiatus, which gives Toyotaro a chance to catch up. What do you think?
We got to give it to him. He gave us kind of like, well, it could either be this or this.
Well, yeah. I mean, except for it wasn't really a chance for Toyotaro to catch up. Instead, he kind of rushed the ending of the tournament to get onto the next thing, which wasn't even Broly, but his own arc.
It was bizarre how the manga went, where everything was just extended and going and going and going, even into the tournament. We're like, what are we doing here? Then all of a sudden, oh, wait, it's over?
Yeah.
But yeah, so yeah, sorta. I can't give it to him there with it's either gonna go on hiatus or all filler. Like, you can't give me both of those. Those are two. Yeah, it's gonna be one of those.
I'm gonna give you the two options.
These are the two options.
That will happen.
Right. All right. What else?
Okay, so Fighters will sell at least 3 copies, maybe more.
Yeah, Fighters did pretty well.
Yeah, I heard it sold a few.
Fighters had a pretty good year. Main stage at EVO this year. Obviously got some shenanigans going on with additional tournaments right now. Hopefully that's going to get resolved. But very successful year for Fighters, yep.
Yep. So next, Fusions 2 on the Switch. A fusion of Jiren and Kefla called Jifla, and the two Omni Kings fuse into a third who looks the same but is stronger.
I would have loved to see that. What? Actually.
Nope, didn't happen. We don't have a Fusions 2. I'm still hoping for it, though.
Yeah, and the Fusions manga ended, right?
It did, yeah.
Okay, so I guess next up is a new animated adaptation of Heroes.
Hey!
Yeah, I'm sure what he meant was for TV, but that's not what we got.
Right. Yeah, I feel like every couple of years we were saying this because it seemed, just going back to pre-Dragon Ball Kai, it seemed that's what Bandai Namco was hoping they could get out of Toriyama and Toei, and instead they ended up with Kai. But here we are, 2018, with technically an animated adaptation of Heroes. the 6-episode Prison Planet arc, and now we're moving on to a giant space war.
Pretty much, yeah. I'm still disappointed that they didn't end that particular part with Goku fusing with Goku, though. Super Saiyan 4 Blue Gokarot, come on. It's fan service. You got to do something like that eventually. There got to be somebody making fan art of that already.
Look, Heroes isn't going anywhere. You've got time.
Oh, fair enough. Okay, so I guess I better go on to the next one. So the next prediction from Jake is Viz and/or Funimation will bring the Heroes card game to America somewhere, somehow. And kind of almost. I mean,
yeah, so
they like sort of.
Do you want to try it and only like 50 people can play and then we'll take it away?
Yes, that's how it happened. Yeah, the first stop of the Dragon Ball North America tour, Bandai Namco brought a localized version of Super Dragon Ball Heroes.
Just enough to tease you so that you know it exists, but you can't have it.
Right. They gave out some cards, let people try it, and they said, no, we're not going to bring it to any of the other stops. Son of a bitch, what are you guys doing?
And that has to be a ton of work, too. Could you imagine being the person who translated all that stuff only for them to decide, nope.
Right. And then, sure, it probably wasn't, the entirety of the game, very limited mission set, that kind of thing. But still, I mean, who knows what work went into that and why. But it seems like maybe we'll be getting some more Heroes. I think hold on to that for more prediction stuff, both check-in and future predictions. So one more from Jake.
Super Dragon Ball Heroes will continue to go strong and Jake will continue to not care. But we'll continue to be happy if anyone does enjoy it.
Basically it. Yep. Heroes going strong and some people like it, some people don't. Some people just stand and scratch their heads at it. All right, Heath, I guess tear me apart here. How did I do?
Oh, gosh. I feel like I already did this, though.
We did, like 6 months ago.
All right. So, of course, the first prediction for Mike was that we would get Blue Dogi Goku by March. He even threw a date on there.
Yeah.
Look at that.
Yeah, that totally happened. All worked out.
So confident.
Yep.
And failed.
Look, I didn't say we were going to get it in Dragon Ball Super, did I?
Oh, come on.
No.
Nope, didn't win there. Yeah. You got to go for broke. And I broke.
That's why you always got to throw the dates on there. Because then even if you do get it right, you still kind of get it wrong.
All right. Anyway.
All right. So February would mark 2 years since the first official Dragon Ball Super soundtrack. And you predicted that we would see Volume 2 in the first quarter of the year. And lo and behold, it was released in February.
Number 1 story of the year on Kanzenshuu.
Pat yourself on the back. Was that just you constantly clicking on the article?
Look.
I bet it was.
You predicted that we would get the usual 2 collected volumes of Super, the manga, in 2018. Volume 4 had just come out that November. Yeah, so Volume 5 came out in March. Then we had 6, 7, and 8 just came out this December.
Right.
So there you go. 4 instead of 2. But also because they're only putting 4 chapters in every volume.
Well, with the page count, yeah, there's a lot to catch up on, a lot to release in the meantime. So I think they're at a good point with the Super manga. With it being 45 pages and monthly, they can release the collected volumes, what feels like more often, and still not totally catch up. Obviously, they would catch up at some point, but I think they have a good schedule down here now.
And you laughed at me the other year when I said 4 volumes.
No, you said 7 or 8 or 9 or something crazy.
No, that's what they would get up to. I did not say that.
Yes, you most certainly did. Someone roll back the tape.
There is audio evidence. All right, so we already knew that Dragon Ball SD5 was coming, so nothing more to say on that matter. Yep, came, went, nothing more happened, and we're still waiting.
It's still going. I mean, it's still there in Psycho Jump. We'll talk about it later.
You also then went on to predict that we would get Dark Demon Realm Mission Volume 2. We're up to the 9th chapter in January 2018 of Psycho Jump. Volume 1 came out in May of 2017. Yeah, we had Volume 2 released in May, and was that it? Basically, then they transitioned into the Universe Mission.
Yeah.
So, did you get like 50% on that one? Do we give partial credit now?
I think I get it all right. Yeah, I said it would come out, and it did. It came out earlier than I thought it would, but whatever.
Fusion's manga will come to an end at some point in 2018 and get a compiled release. So it did come to an end in 2018, specifically in May, but we've had no word yet on any collected edition. So I think there's only 2 people on the entire planet that actually want to buy it. And one of them is on this podcast.
It's going to go the way of that Cardass manga from the original test run of V-Jump. It's just going to be forgotten.
We'll see.
Lost to time.
I mean, I was really tying it into, I figured they were going to roll right into a Fusions 2, and that would have made sense to release alongside that.
So how about that Discross manga?
Julian, how about the Discross manga? How about that Fighters manga?
Oh, I feel so bad for whoever's working on that one. Their strategies are not aligned there.
All right, moving on. Let's keep this ball rolling. You predicted we'd get no other spin-offs. The GT anime comic would still be going and probably wouldn't finish by the end of 2018.
Yep.
Which is correct.
It's still going.
Because this thing will not die for some reason.
They are so close. They are so close. It's going to finish this year.
Where are they? I haven't even.
We are. I think Goku just rose up out of the crater, so we're like right there.
That is close.
Hold on, I'm gonna grab the issue. It's right there. Hold on, I'm getting it.
Oh gosh.
Where are we? We are.
This is the best part of a podcast where nobody can see that Mike just got up and walked away.
Of course, they started from the Evil Dragons arc, which is why they're anywhere near the end now.
That's true. I mean, they could have carried this thing on for years, which they already have. But
there's a full color anime comics for the whole of Dragon Ball Z as well as all of the movies.
But not
the
GT.
only things that haven't had that treatment besides, are basically Dragon Ball and GT and I guess now Super, but Super is still pretty new and they don't need to reintroduce it to anybody.
There we go. All right, so
That's
I got
true.
the issue. This is the January 2019 Psycho Jump. The GT anime comic is just haphazardly placed in the middle, not even near any other Dragon Ball stuff because who the hell cares? And it indeed ends with Goku's rising up out of the crater and he's got the Genki Dama and Ishinlong is firing at him. And Kaio's talking to him, and that's how that chapter ends. So we're square into like GT63 territory here.
It's another, 2 issues perhaps?
It depends on what they do with the ending of
I mean,
the
they could
series.
carry it out for at least a year.
Be very slow.
1 page at a time.
Anyway, all right, no one cares about that besides me.
All right, this one I agreed with. Viz will indeed put out the Yamcha manga. Same thing with a free digital release and later a print edition. So that was announced at Anime Boston in March, and it did come out, but there was no free digital release.
No.
So still looking for that.
Although if you're a member of their new monthly Shonen Jump subscription thing, it's included in there. So
That's
not quite
true.
free, but close.
Give you 75%.
It was weird. I said there would be nothing else on the spin-off front, but then I'm like, hey, Dragon Garo Lee's going to put out another spin-off. I don't know what the hell I was
Yep.
thinking.
And you thought it'd be Majin Buu focused.
Yeah. Nothing there.
But I think you have to kind of cover your bases, and when you just throw out 2 predictions that,
Right.
oppose each other,
Right?
Exactly.
then you have to be right.
That's the way you do it.
Or you're just really stupid and you get them both wrong.
Although I gotta say, he's done a lot of sort of Dragon Ball themed fan art.
Oh, it's constant. Yeah.
Like the one of the Super Goku 4 cosplayer messing with his smartphone.
That was
blew
so
up
good.
recently.
I know.
And he's done a couple of, Dragon Ball versus One Punch Man doujinshi in the past couple of years. I don't know if he put one out this year, though.
All right. So moving on to the full color comics. Mike predicted we would yet again go another year without any real comment from Viz, which is essentially true, except for the random people that like to bug them on Twitter. Which I don't even... They didn't really respond on Twitter anyway. So, Fighters will be a massive success. And this is hardly a prediction. Mike's just throwing it out there because he wanted to. But we'll see new characters coming out sometime March, April, which we did. We had a boatload of them. You can go back and look. I'm not going to read them all off and make Mike feel better about himself.
No, but it started in March and it continued, and we got the 8 announced characters. Yep.
It did. And Broly, of course, was in there.
Yes. Well, old Broly.
Fighter Switch port would be announced mid-year and probably out by the end of the year. It was announced in June, and it did come out in September. Everyone was happy. Xenoverse 3! I mean, we can't go without having a Xenoverse 3 prediction. I
Yeah,
think.
this is the modern Zenkai battles coming out kind of prediction.
Yep. Would get announced at literally the very end of 2018. It's 2019 now, I think. But it would be a direct follow-up to what we would see with Fu in the Xenoverse 2 DLC. Nope.
No.
Big old nope on
they
that one.
They just kept putting out TLC for Xenoverse 2. It was so bizarre. We're on like extra pack 19 at this point.
Good for them for the long tail, but yeah, I thought they're going to do something new.
And there we go. That wraps up Mike. I would say overall you did fairly well.
It was okay. I mean, it was very conservative prediction territory for me.
You've had some years in the past that were much more out there.
Yeah.
So I'll give you that.
All right, Heath, your predictions from mid-year in the check-in episode. You said that in conjunction with the movie's release in December, they would make some kind of concrete statement about the future of Dragon Ball on TV. You were leaning toward no new show. Well, right now, in conjunction with the new movie,
we can come back to that.
we do not have a concrete statement.
I have revised that prediction.
And then, you know what? You said it at some point in early 2019, we'll see a blue Doki Goku. So you don't get to steal my prediction and then, just tack on the new year.
I think when I made that, I blatantly said I'm stealing this.
Absolutely. All right. We have new predictions. Someone else go first. Julian, why don't you go first with your predictions? New predictions for 2019.
All right. So, my predictions for the new year here for Super. My take is that we will eventually get a new TV series taking the same time slot that it had before, currently occupied by Gegege no Kitaro. And that one just wrapped up a big story arc at the end of 2018, and it seems like they're just doing some standalone episodes right now, so, that seems like a pretty good time to wrap things up, if you ask me.
Yeah, just kind of coast toward whatever the replacement is.
Right. And maybe there'll be a Galactic Patrol prisoner arc, like the one running in V-Jump, or maybe there will be something that comes after that, just like the manga skipped Broly. And
wait, stop, say it right.
What?
The manga flew down Broly.
Come on.
Look, Cypher has required that every time we mention it, we say it correctly. And who am I to disagree? Because it's fucking hysterical, and we should never let that slip away.
Oh, dear.
This is
anyhow
Kanzenshuu policy from here on out. Always flown down. And I said it wrong last time, too. I said flown over, and that was like almost too literal. You got to do the flown down here. Anyway, continue. Whatever. Don't mind me. I'm just Mike.
Okay. Or it could even be something after the Galactic Patrol prisoner arc. And this time will be more focused than before, with a clear goal of merging with the continuity of the end of the manga by its end. Wishful thinking on my part, perhaps.
Okay.
And I think there won't be any new movies announced this year, but perhaps in 2020. I mean, they had 2 years in between F and Broly rather than one in between Battle of Gods and F, but it seems like every 2 years, actually 2.5 years is a fair bit.
Yeah, it was 2013, 2015, 2018, but there was also a series in there. So yeah, I feel like a movie it'll rely on what a series does too. I mean, this kind of goes back to everything we were talking about. Again, one of our most, we didn't mention this, we mentioned popular content, some of the most popular podcast episodes. Far and away, the review of the Universe Survival Arc was the most popular podcast episode. But then right under that was actually an episode Heath, you, I, and AJ did right as we were getting all the news about Dragon Ball Super ending. And the big piece of what we talked about there was there is no way the Toei can handle doing a Dragon Ball Super television series and movie at the same time. There's just so I feel like even now shifting things up, that's probably not gonna happen, at least not within a year or two. But
yeah,
we'll
yes.
All right, you got
definitely
more.
It really opens your eyes to when they did it with Dragon Ball Z and they were releasing 2 movies a year.
Yeah, how did they handle that?
They broke up their staff. They had, they gave basically here. Yamamaro, you get the movies. Nakatsu, you get the TV series. And they essentially that's how they did it.
Okay, so moving on. So in terms of Shueisha in general, I'm going to say they're going to milk the AU spin-off trend. And this time, rather than have something set nominally in the Dragon Ball world, they'll have something that relies on Dragon Ball's meta humor, just like the One Piece spin-offs, the Kobe lookalike Kobayama-kun and or One Piece in Love, where One Piece is a thing that exists in the world and they constantly make reference to it.
I believe you're talking about Despo Fighters.
We We don't talk about that, Mike.
If we don't, who will?
Plus, you have to pay for that one. What I'm talking about is going to be free on Shonen Jump Plus.
All right,
kids.
Fine.
And let's see. So I also wrote under the spin-offs that there's going to be a new Dragon Ball SD volume featuring Saiyan Arc fights, and it's going to be a 1 joke per chapter. And I guess that's not so much a prediction as a thing that's inevitable.
Happening, yeah.
I wish they would give her more freedom, because when she is allowed to go in her own direction, she is genuinely funny.
Agreed. Yeah.
But yeah, the way that they have her is just a waste. I feel bad. Anyway. So moving on to not just Dragon Ball, but Toriyama works in general. I'm predicting a new deluxe Kanzenban style short works collection set, including all the one-shots published by Shueisha, basically from 1978 onwards, plus Toriyama's rejected contest entries from 1977. Because a guy can dream, can't he?
You're not getting this, but I love that you're so enthusiastic about it. I love your enthusiasm.
I want it to exist.
We all do.
Anyway, where was I? Okay, the official Japanese website keeps on keeping on, but has an increasing amount of illustrations for their nearly complete works of Toriyama that people have seen before. It might even repeat itself without anyone noticing, except for possibly us.
All right, you got
pretty much
a little more here.
Yes, and finally, with regards to the Viz front, they'll continue to quietly ignore the full color edition, but surreptitiously add more chapters to the online back catalog without any announcements, just to see if anybody's paying attention.
All right.
And then maybe hiring a new fresh-faced translator into the mix.
All right. I see Heath furiously typing away to add in more predictions. So, all right. Well, I'll give you a little more time. I'll go through mine here.
Okay.
All right. So my predictions for 2019, Dragon Ball Super. So it coming back to TV really seems like the big thing we all have to predict. It's either yes or no. I am on team yes, and I think it will indeed be this spring. It makes very much sense for it to reclaim Kitaro's reclamation as well. I think they will indeed just keep it under the Super title. I think it will remain Dragon Ball Super, and they'll continue from episode 132. I don't know if they'll call it, internally like season 2, episode 1, but I think it'll stay as Super. I think they will not adapt the Broly movie. I think they will not adapt the Galactic Patrol Prisoner arc from the manga, but at that point, the manga and the anime will indeed link up. So it'll be like the Prisoner arc never happened, but maybe did actually happen, but it won't be in the TV series. So that leaves us to the production side of things. I honestly just don't know enough about all the people and what their workloads and schedules are like to say if Shintani can take on what Yamamuro's role was previously, but I think that an updated new show will indeed go with that new style. So then the Broly movie, Battle of Gods home release was 6 months later. Resurrection F was also 6 months later, so I'm hoping that we will see the Broly movie home release by June. Funimation's Resurrection F home release was only about a week out from the Japanese release, so I'm hoping we'll get a similarly fast turnaround on that. Over in Heroes territory, well, we know we're going into space giant war right now. I think they'll do a Blu-ray of just the Prison Planet arc, and we'll get something like that first quarter of the year. I think it'll have a bonus episode. So the weird thing about Universe Mission versus the Prison Planet arc promotional anime, even though they showed everyone on those monitors at the end of the first episode, they didn't do anything with any of them. However, the manga has. I think we'll get a bonus episode on a Blu-ray, which will show us, it'll be like this side story episode. What's Ozoto been up to in the meantime? He's got some cool stuff going on there in the manga. I'm hoping they can show us there in animated fashion. So spin-off manga, nothing to say on SD. It'll just, like Julian said, just continue. I don't think there'll be a collected volume this year. They seem to be every 2 years at this point as it's going so slow. The GT anime comic will indeed come to an end. There's no way it cannot end this year, and I think they'll do nothing with it. No one will acknowledge that it was ever even in the magazine. It'll just be gone, and no one will notice.
They can go back to the start.
Yeah, start all over. Lost episodes. There we go. Lost chapters. Universe Mission, I think, is going to run all year and will indeed itself also transition into this new Space War arc. But I think it's going to keep its title as Universe Mission. I don't know about like rebranding yet again into something else. I think Universe Mission kind of covers everything they're going for there. So speaking of heroes and all that jazz in the video game world, we know World Mission is coming out in Japan in April. The international release feels all but confirmed at this point. It's not confirmed, however, between an Australian rating and Play Asia saying the mainland Asian version will have English subtitles. I mean, like, yeah, it's probably coming. I think we'll get it by June, so not too long after the Japanese release, as opposed to something like Fusions where it came and no one was really talking about it. I really think Heroes is going to follow up pretty quickly.
Right. World Mission.
Yeah, I mean, it's there in the title. It's coming.
There you go.
What do we say about Xenoverse at this point? They just keep extending the Xenoverse 2 support, but I don't think they can keep it going another year on top of all this, can they? I don't know. I really don't know what to say about it at this point. It's like, no matter what you say about Xenoverse 2 seems logical, so who knows? So, sure, Xenoverse 3 is the other game for this year. Whatever. Just keep saying it every year until it happens. Fighters, I think, will indeed get a second round of DLC. They're going to double up and they will do another Broly to match the movie Broly. And the new Gogeta will accompany him. I think other solid choices will be Janemba to kind of tie in with all the Gogeta-ness. And I think we'll get Super Saiyan 4 Goku and Ultra Instinct Goku. Yes, we will have approximately 1 million Gokus in this game, up from Goku black hair all the way to Goku white hair in this game. I think we're going to get them all by the time all is said and done. And then just miscellaneous stuff, kind of what we talked about in our news recap. We never saw these movie remasters coming. Who knows what's going to come after this? I kind of don't even want to get into prediction territory because I don't want what they're offering me at this point. Like, it just doesn't sound like that's what I want at this point. So if I did have to predict, though, I think they're going to do it Dragon Box style, where Z is the first thing that comes out. I think they'll do them in a series of smaller boxes. It's not going to be 2 giant boxes. We'll get, the 12 episode sets, or maybe something more than that. It was $291's a long ways to go with 12 episode sets, but I think that's definitely going to be coming this year. I don't know that I want it, though. So I don't really have anything super crazy. I feel like everything rides on what Super's going to do this year. And that was my crazy prediction of they're going to skip Broly, skip Galactic Patrol Prisoner, and pick up. I don't know where that leaves the Super story, though, at that point.
I mean, it's already less than 5 years until the ending of Z at this point, right?
Yeah, the big question all throughout Super was, are they going to approach end of Z? And we never got there. So would a new series, I feel like a good place to pick up would be, are they finally going to do it? Are they going to pick up at the 28th Budokai, retell it with Beerus and Whis, maybe off on the sideline, so not in the crowds with everyone to not kind of totally interrupt that. But do they finally get to the point where, look, even we can't ignore that now we're in GT's timeline.
It's like, how long can we go during this brief time period in between events?
Yeah, I mean, Brosborn, Pon's not getting any smaller.
Marin's getting smaller, though.
Yeah, well, she'll have a growth spurt, though.
I don't know what they do. I think that'll be my prediction. So I think Super will pick up post Galactic Patrol Prisoner with the 28th Budokai. And who knows? Maybe we'll finally get that Universe 6 trip that Cobb has been promising us for 2 years or whatever.
Or how about Super Dragon Ball Heroes introduces Goku Black Ultra Instinct Lavender?
I like it. Heath, are you done yet?
No.
I can't stall anymore. All right. Please give us your predictions.
All right. So as with both of you, I will start off with the TV series.
All right.
Super will return at some point in 2019. Most likely, I think it's going to be in July, but depending on how Fuji TV shuffles things around, it may end up being in October. I just am still kind of leaning toward July because I think that makes the most sense logically based on where other series will be.
You think Kitaro's going to just push that far into almost summer there?
See, and I don't know. It depends on, and Julian's much more familiar with it than I am, but is there a chance there could be another short arc that they could spread out across a couple months? Or is it likely they're just going to let this trail into July?
That's a good question. I haven't seen any new story arcs announced. Like, the big thing was the whole Western yokai and transforming the Japanese yokai.
My whole thing is, can they do into July on just an episode-by-episode basis? And if you're going to start a new story arc, I would think you would try to carry it out, but again, I'm not super familiar.
Gotcha.
I mean, they've got plenty of extant material to work with, even if they want to rest their laurels.
Yeah, just retell all the old stuff.
Yeah.
And I agree, it will retain the super branding. I think they're going to kind of do what they did with Kai, you know, how they did the Boo separated from everything else. I think the numbers will pick up right where we left off, but I would not be surprised if internationally they do something very similar where it's, you know, in Japan it's just Dragon Ball Super again, but over here it's kind of something else or with a tagline.
The college years.
Yeah. So, I think they'll keep with the Shintani style, but he himself may not stay on board with the series. It may kind of be handed off.
Yeah.
And if anything, they'll more transition him into feature film production, more kind of on the movie side. And the series itself will pick up right after the events of Broly. However, I don't think Broly will appear in the series in 2019.
Oh, yeah, that's a big thing that we didn't really
But I think he will appear at some point within the series based on how the movie ends.
Just not right away. Okay.
Yeah. No new movie this year in 2019.
Nah,
but
too soon.
Toei is going to wait till they get a few more episodes under their belt, you know, kind of really hone in what they're doing with the series. And I think they're going to kind of do what they've been doing with One Piece, kind of like what Julian had talked about, where they're going to do this tie-in shorter arc into the movie. And I think they're really going to stick to having movies come out in December for the series. And moving forward, assuming the series goes on for a few years, we're just going to have that one big movie a year, every other year. They're going to span it out like that. I'm almost leaning toward every other year.
I feel like even every two is too much, but...
Yeah, but if they're making money off of it, you know they're going to do it.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, the quality will just suffer, and so be it.
So I think that's it for Super. And moving on to general releases, I'm going to throw it out there because I like to do it every year. New guidebooks. Finally, maybe that's going to happen. Whether it's...
Super Kanzenshuu.
Yeah, Super's over. So like now's a good point to recap everything that happened so far.
Maybe just do a manga-specific one. You know, I don't know. The weird thing is the manga is kind of all over the place and it skips over things and then it doesn't cover or condenses or... Yeah,
and then it adds more detail to certain things.
Right. So I think someday it'll be really interesting to look at whenever they do actually release guidebooks for either the series, you know, manga or TV series, and how they're going to kind of combine them together. But Dragon Ball Super Broly will see a home release. I'm going to shoot for June in Japan and July, August in North America.
Okay.
I think it's going to be pretty close.
Yep.
I'm going to jump back to the TV series real quick. Something I forgot to put in there because Mike preempted me.
Whatever do you mean? I interrupted
Unlike
someone?
Before, when the series comes back, a simulcast will be announced immediately. And it will come from the very first episode.
Yeah, I totally agreed. Oh, hold on. Here's the big one. Is Funimation going to snap up exclusivity on the streaming for the new Super series, or is it the kind of thing where Toei's like, no, everyone's getting this because we want it on all the channels, and by channels I mean Crunchyroll.
That's a good question.
Yeah,
I think Funimation's gonna fight for it.
Funimation is Sony now. Everyone's got money to throw around, so I don't know. It's tough.
I don't know. Could we get a surprise Netflix collaboration live action movie?
Let's not, please.
Are you adding that to your prediction?
Yes and no.
All right. Sorry, Heath. Continue.
So Mike and I are going to clash a little bit on this one, but I'm with you 100% on how I personally feel about it. But I think they will announce a new remaster of the TV series is at least underway. Mm-hmm. Most likely, I think they'd start releasing it in December of 2019 or more like early January of 2020.
I think that's safe.
I personally am leaning towards them not doing a premium release like the Dragon Boxes. I think they're going to stick more to individual discs or kind of like a double pack like Funimation has been doing.
Yep.
And in true Japanese form, to get people to buy it, they'll do some sort of, hey, everybody that pre-ordered gets all these bonus figures. You know, if you buy
them all, yeah,
then you get some really cool thing that somebody, possibly Toriyama, designed. Who knows? And to go along with that, fans will be very skeptical about this remaster after what happened with the movies. Will Heath buy them? Most likely, yes. Will he hate himself for it? Very likely, yes. Mostly because I'll want the booklets that come with it.
Right.
Of course, the two big questions, is it Kai remaster or other remaster? Optical audio or broadcast audio?
I think they're going to stick, with the original full frame, but they will start doing things a la Kai, a la the movie remaster, where they're going to start sticking new frames in to redo certain things. There will be some censorships. It won't look as bad as Kai, but it will still suck.
And by as bad, do you mean the Boo arc?
I mean, like, where it just looks clearly where you're watching it, and there's a distinct, we just went from original footage to hand-drawn,
the redraws,
traced.
Yeah.
Because a lot of that really stands out. But
yeah,
with that, they at least, they were reducing flash effects, things like that. I think that's going to stay just because of a lot of the new standards.
Yeah. Yep.
Maybe that more so than censoring anything out, because there really wasn't a lot in the TV series other than, like Raditz. And I'm going to go against Julian and say new full color comics will finally be announced by Viz, but we're not going to see anything until maybe 2020, but they'll at least say something and fans will rejoice. And then who knows, it may all fall apart and never actually happen. But something will be said or announced. 4 new volumes of the Super Manga will come out in Japan. I think that becomes a staple.
What, not 8?
I hate you. And Dragon Ball SD will continue to not see a collected release. If there is, it will be digital only. Nothing printed, because everyone hates books now.
You think they're going to just stop SD?
All major Japanese industries, I'm sometimes surprised. Like, I think maybe some of them just sort of have like their own momentum that keeps them going.
Yeah.
Yeah. In like just completely regardless of actual sales numbers.
Of course.
Yeah, it's very true.
And I think publishing is one of them.
I can't wait to be one of 2 people in the world that has a complete Psycho Jump collection when it dies.
What, the other one's Peking Duck?
Does even he? Because I remember.
No, it's probably an 8-year-old in Japan somewhere.
He's got some of them.
Because Julian, we were talking early on where even he was like, I'm not buying these right away because whatever, it's just SD. But then we're like, oh, well, I guess it's still going. So.
Well, they still have in their back pocket, they can drop down to like 1 yearly issue.
Yeah.
Since we've seen it constantly change.
Go back
it's
to
still
quarterly.
quarterly, isn't it?
No, it's bi-monthly.
Oh, there you go. So 6. Yeah. So they have ways to work down to 1 issue a year.
Oh,
all right.
boy.
We're going to jump over to video games, and I'm really going to go out on a ledge here, but heroes will not die and continue to thrive.
Oh,
and
wow.
I will continue
Real bold of
to
you.
be with Jake and not really care, but I'm sure others are happy. And I guess by the end of the year, by the end of 2019, at some point, we will see another short promotional anime of some sort, probably 4 or 6 episodes.
In addition to the space thing, you think we'll run through that and then something else will start up too?
Yes.
Got it.
And another new handheld game, probably specifically for the Switch, will be announced. I have no idea what it's going to be.
Something else.
But
I'm holding out for Fusions too. Give it to me.
Yeah.
Give me.
And finally, we will catch up on super episode pages on the website. A new guide will finally go live.
Whoa, hold what? What are you talking about? No, we don't do content here.
That can happen, right?
No, we start things and then never finish them, okay? That's the way we do things at Kanzenshuu.
Exactly. I will shut this whole thing down if you launch a new section.
If you actually complete something,
yes,
that's bad.
Allowed.
Okay.
As long as we still get paid.
Oh, yeah. Checks in the mail, Julian.
Keep that money rolling, man.
You let me know when you get that, all right?
My $0 check, yeah.
I think he would send you one for $0.
I'll totally do that.
And you can frame it
put it
and
past you.
everything.
Don't spend it all
Just
in one
remind him that he would spend money on the postage.
It would cost more to send you.
So he'll send you a check for like negative 34 cents.
What, I have to pay him?
Yes, I love it.
Oh,
Just keep sending me old V-jumps. It's fine.
Yes.
I'll just never cash
So, yeah, a new guide will go live. There you go.
All right, cool.
And Julian will translate at least 2 things.
I already have like 4 in the backlog that I need to post right now, so that's pretty solid.
Yeah, I've been blowing through the whole Broly Times, which is a thing since I kind of didn't get around to the F1, but I can do that eventually. I mean, I have the rest of my life.
It's pretty good. Yep. Slowly putting them up. One's already up by the time you hear this, and another one is up. I just got to do the homepage post for it, and you finish translating other ones. So, yeah, it's coming. All right. We've been going for a while, and we still have some Twitter stuff to get through, and we have, I don't know, like 3,000 here. There's no way we
there's
can read them all.
more?
Oh, my God. It doesn't stop. It just keeps going here. So I'm going to breeze through just some of these, and I want just quick thoughts from you guys on what you think. Joey says a Kitaro Dragon Ball crossover to hand over the baton. I would like that.
Yeah, so basically Goku talking to himself and Piccolo talking to the Nezumi Otoko. That'd be interesting.
Let's see. Metal Knight 57. More science will show up in the new series, and the Namekian Book of Legends is mentioned again. Hold on. I don't know. We can't go mentioning things here.
Oh, boy.
Master Tube 40s here says Goku learning to go into Ultra Instinct whenever he wants. Yeah, what do you guys think the future of Ultra Instinct here is over the next year?
That is something I was pondering about putting in my predictions because I don't know what's going to happen with it.
Yeah, I think they're going to just hold off on it. It's going to continue to be a crutch that he can't quite get to, but maybe gets better at.
I think it's, I don't know, maybe it's something that they keep in their back pocket for special occasions. Like the Genki Dama in the old movies.
See, Campy here says, due to the popularity of Super Broly and judging by Toei running the favorite movie poll, by the end of 2019, another popular Z movie villain will be adapted into Super, whether it be in a new anime or in a new movie. Yes, the constant who are we canonizing next prediction. If we had to choose anyone, let's not say it's going to happen in Bojack. All right, there we go. Moving on.
He would, North Kaio. His planet gets destroyed again, and it turns out they resealed him in there, and yeah, I don't know.
So Team 4-Star is canon now as well.
Yep, pretty much.
All right.
Scott got involved.
I guess we gotta give AJ's here. Super returns. I say that like, fuck you, AJ. That's not how I meant it. It came out wrong. AJ says, Super returns by July, latest with no retelling, and Yamamura remains with his focus on heroes, leaving Shintani or someone following his style to head the visuals. Mike continues to leave the Broly soundtrack unopened. Yeah. Again,
he knows you too well, Mike.
Out of fake spite toward everyone, I'm just never going to open that thing. Yeah, I think AJ is in line with what I'm thinking, kind of what you're thinking, Heath, as well, where this is the style going forward, but whether Shintani himself is in charge, don't know. Lots of people saying pretty much that, totally independent of each other. Seems like we're all thinking that's where the visual production part of the series is heading. See, Red Scar 64, Toriyama announces his retirement and hands the keys over to Toyotaro and the Dragon Ball room. Toriyama's not that kind of person. I just don't see him coming out with a strict statement of I am done now. I think he's going to continue to be there in the advisory and like raw plot role.
Yeah, he's not the kind of person to say, nope, done. He's more like, maybe.
Right.
And keep saying that forever.
I think as long as he is more in the advisory role, that's when he'll stick around. If they're like, yeah, now we want you to do a new series, Toyotaro can't draw for you. Be like, all right, I'm done. You're going to make me work?
I got to read these because people seem to know me well. Luke, the Horseman 14, says, Super returns by fall, and Viz makes a big manga announcement. Please. The new Hero Switch game comes west, and people will like it for some reason. Mike's relationship with the DHL guy will still be complicated.
Yeah, you
that's
guys
very
have
accurate.
Some work out there.
Are you guys like on a first name basis yet?
You should like set out a video camera just to see what he looks like.
Oh, I've met all of them.
And they still don't leave your packages.
No, they do. DHL is the good one. It's who is it? It's FedEx who's always screwing things up. A lot of people talking about Super returning, and I would say the majority of them seem to think they will not do a Broly retelling. And the only reason we're even talking about something like that is because what they did with Battle of Gods and Resurrection F, and it really feels like this was them taking the time, do the production right, and there's no need to stall for time if that's what they're going to do for a new series.
Well, especially since it just picked up right at the end of the Tournament of Power anyway.
Yeah.
And they came right out and said it. This is just a continuation of the series, but in a movie format.
Yeah. Let's see. Omega Rockman Super resumes in July, following AJ's prediction. International rollout much faster this time. Toonami seamlessly transitions into new Super once the Tournament of Power finishes. Yeah, that would...
I didn't even think
that
of
would
that.
work out well for them. Nintendo puts Dragon Quest character / Chrono and Smash DLC. Hopes to calm Goku crowd is 100% wrong. Jump Force Switch announced? ? So in case you're not following, it seems like very much the upcoming... There was some rumor stuff going on about what the next Super Smash Bros. Ultimate DLC character would be, following Joker from Persona 5, and in some of the latest data mining, the name there is Yusha, which means brave, which is typically how they refer to the hero protagonist character of the Dragon Quest series. So it really very much seems like we'll be getting that. I think all signs are pointing to the Dragon Quest 3 protagonist with an alternate clothing outfit from Dragon Quest 11. So that, I think, is indeed coming our way. I am, needlessly to say, excited about that.
Surprise.
I think this is Tyson here. Dragon Ball Super returns, touting a similar design aesthetic to the Broly movie, paired with a weekly anime schedule. Out of context, Super look better than this new stuff screenshots will become the new episode 5 type internet joke. Oof.
Oh boy.
I say oof because that's probably true. Yeah, everyone's backseat armchair analyst now.
Isn't it fun?
Us included? Raphael's really hoping the Yamcha manga will be adapted into animation. Julian, this is something you were talking with Fudia about. You're really hoping we can do something like that.
He'd love to see it too.
I think that would be awesome. And I would enjoy that so much more than Super Dragon Ball Heroes.
A lot of people thinking about this, speaking of who are we going to canonize next? What are we going to canonize next? Gabby says Super Saiyan 4 will show up in Super. Goku can shift between it and Blue at will, although they're roughly the same strength, so whichever form he uses depends on what he feels like that day. I like that.
Okay.
I just don't know how they would make that work.
Yeah, I think Super Saiyan 4 Heroes is doing the right thing with it, where it's GT is just a part of this expanded universe. I think that's the right way to go with that.
Outside of Heroes, where anything goes, you can throw anything together and make it work.
Like,
what do you think?
Goku fusing with Goku.
Right.
Yeah, I just don't see how they can incorporate it, at least into Super, the series proper. It would seem like not only fan service, but I think any way they tried to pull it off, it would just seem so forced.
Yeah.
And they would definitely have to do it in a different way than how it was introduced in GT, I would think. Are the Sufrudians coming back? What's happening?
Well... yeah, machine mutant versions of them, I guess. Maybe, sort of.
What if they just completely, Super comes back and it is just a retelling of GT?
It's just GT.
Like, straight up, they just took GT and they're like, yeah, what do you think of this?
It's Dragon Ball GT Kai.
Love it. Ultra Instinct Super Saiyan 4, give it to me.
So like a white-haired fur covering the whole body except for the chest.
Yeah, why not? All right, let's call
Super
it there.
Saiyan 5.
Because the replies continue to come in as we're recording here, and there's a lot of similar thoughts.
Oh, come on,
from
Mike.
people.
You've got all night.
I do not have all night. I have to start editing this damn thing. 3 audio tracks. And how long we've been recording here is going to take me forever to put out. So yeah, let's leave it there. That was wonderful. That was a look at the top stories of the year on Kanzenshuu, some of our top content, our check-in on predictions. We made new predictions. You all made new predictions. I think 2019 is going to be a great year for Dragon Ball. It's going to be a great year for Kanzenshuu. I'm very excited about everything that we have to bring to everyone. We got some really good kind of like renewed focus things we got going on, projects and things that everyone's working on. I love everything that we do. I love everyone that we work with, all of our friends and extended family here. It's everything that I could have never hoped and imagined that I would still be doing 21 years later. So here we are in January of a new year, roughly around here in 1998 is when I launched Vegito EX's Ultimate DBZ Links page into Vegito EX's homepage, into Daizenshuu EX. then into Kanzenshuu. So my dudes, thank you much for everything that you guys do for me, continue to do for me. You're my colleagues here. You are my dear friends. I appreciate everything that you guys do. And again, everyone else that we work with as well. That's kind of where I want to leave it this year. And by this year, I mean the beginning of this year, because the year's not over. Anyway, Julian.
Yeah.
Yeah, give me 2019. Come on. What's in store? What do you got?
Well, I'm hopefully going to be being employed in Japan and moving back over there with my wife and kids.
Excellent.
Once everything's done over here.
All right, children demand that we bring it to a close. Heath, what are you excited about for 2019 here on the site?
Lots of things. Actually getting things done.
Yeah, sure, we'll do that.
Yeah, I'm really excited about what we've been doing with the wiki, what we've been doing for translations, just in general, kind of to echo what you had said, just the people that we've been working with, the things we've been doing. It's really exciting to see all the new energy that's in the series and just the website in general. And I think I've said it before, the sky's kind of the limit of what we can do. We set the bar for ourselves very high, but I think this year we will exceed our own expectations of what we can do, especially with, all the new faces that we have that have really brought a lot to the table. And it's been really nice as we've all gotten busy with other things as well. So my hat's off to them. And I'm really excited, hopefully, to get the wiki actually live, available for people to use. And Mike can actually continue writing random articles that no one else will ever read and maybe get 2 views in the history of the internet.
Well, come on. Someone's going to read the pitted in entry.
Yeah, I think that's where I stand. And
people are going to ask about that. We're hoping we can do some kind of soft launch for that in 2019. Look forward to more chat about that here on the podcast in the future as well, because we want to obviously bring some transparency to what's been going on and what we're hoping for. It's a big project. Again, like you said, the standards that we're holding ourselves to. And what's amazing is that everyone else that we've brought in this most recent batch is like, yeah, absolutely. We're going to hold you guys to even higher standards than that. Like, God damn it, you people and your standards.
We've trained them well.
So we're excited about that. All right. www.kanzenshuu.com. That is kanzenshuu.com. I have been Mike. That has been Heath. That has been Julian. For these folks and for everyone else that plugs away at our stuffage at kanzenshuu.com, I say once again, thank you. I can't wait to spend another 21 years. Kanzenshuu can drink now.
Woohoo.
Thank you much. Julian, wrap it up.
今年も完全集ザポッドキャストを聞いてくださって誠にありがとうございます。今年もよろしくな。